Hello there, welcome back to the Ogre, the old Git Reacts, Reviews and Off Times Reminiscences. Today we're doing Vorgalen, come on, with an album cover like that, I think you know, well, we ain't going to be talking about fluffy pink bunnies, and I imagine the use of the xylophone is highly unlikely here. But what is probably likely, or highly likely, is that if you like grim sounding music, your ears are going to be happy for the next however long period of time it may be. Anyway, check it out, shall we? This is one of those forms of music that cries out hopelessness. It's almost as if you, many moons ago, very many moons ago, I was in Wales, in Snowdonia, and I took my dogs for a walk. At that time I had two Patterdale Terriers. Alas, I only have the one now, but I followed a map, as you should, and followed the public right of way, as you should, and the walk's taken longer than it really should have done, because obviously maps are small and distances are big, and sometimes you don't acquaint the two. So I was running behind. I didn't want to be out in the dark because I left the walk quite late. But thankfully I was sort of looping around for returning back to where we were staying, and there was a short what's the word I'm looking for? Short amount of bridleway or footpath that led across a tussock bog, and it's only probably about 200 metres to get across it. It took me forever. It was awful. The tussocks were over about waist high, and as soon as you put your foot onto a tussock top, it inevitably slipped off, and you were right up to the bollocks in freezing cold water, because it was proper boggy tussock. And my two Patterdale Terriers come probably knee high, top of the head level with my knee, perhaps not even that, and they're hardy dogs, tough as nails. But after about a quarter of an hour of trying to get across that tussock bog, they were looking at me as if I had consigned them to a fate worse than death, and in the end I had to carry them for the rest of the. It took me forever, and they hated me for a while, I'm sure, afterwards. But the point I'm making is, I was proper bogged down, and there was no chance of getting across there with any sort of efficiency or speed, and it did feel hopeless. Of course I should have turned round and gone back the way I came as soon as I realised how bad it was going to be, but I didn't, because I'm stupid. But this reminds me somewhat of that folly and hopelessness. It's almost as if, as from time to time you see on news on news articles or I Survive documentaries, where folks get trapped in quicksand at low tide, can't get out, and the tide comes back and there's nothing they can do about it. Something they could do about it if they knew physics and bushcraft, if you like, but they don't know, and ultimately they drown. But the futility, the hopelessness of feeling that water rise until ultimately you're consumed by it, gives me a similar vibe to this album. That was a pretty lengthy way of trying to explain myself there, but I hope you get my meaning. Of course, the feel of the album itself is more like concrete socks chucked in the bay than trapped in quicksand waiting for the tide to come in, to be honest, but hey-ho. So this is pure cacophony, and glorious it is too. It's even more indistinct than the logo, and sometimes that can what can it do? It can hide all manner of sins and ills. But this is a case where I have to say it's the whole that attracts me to music. I have no choice but to listen to the whole here, because the various elements fuse into one, really. Yes, you can discern the different elements, but you know, the feel is one of it being an absolute mishmash. It's been chucked in a food mixer and blended together. So the distinction between parts isn't particularly pronounced, but the whole feel of this is just a job, really. As I say, it is dark, and particularly say it's menacing as such, because the intent is indistinct. I think the intent is probably just to overwhelm you in a barrage of noise, and there's no wrong with that, let me tell you. This is one of those tracks, or one of these types of music where speed doesn't really matter. I mean, I do love the blast, but here it doesn't really matter, because, as I say, it's just a mash, a cacophony, and it doesn't demand that you listen for the nuances here. You just allow yourself to be overwhelmed by it all, and let the darkness overcome you. Say a little prayer. Say a little prayer as it takes you to places you'd probably rather not be. But sorry, I just had a thought which amused me, but then slipped away before I could share it with you. You probably won't find it as amusing as the ghost of it is to me. But anyway, yeah. So much as I do love a obvious barrage of blast behind music like this, I am not fussed that it isn't particularly. Well, there isn't at the moment anyway, but it doesn't bother me that there's not. Yeah. So there you go. There's not much more you can add to that. There's a Brucey bonus for you. If you do buy this this album, you get a free decontamination chamber sent to your door, which you're going to need. As it is, as soon as I finish with this video, I'm going to have a bimble to the bathroom and lean over and pour the sludge out of my ears. Yeah. Anyway, clicky bollocks, catch you all next time. Cheerio.